Woo! Ric Flair is out of the WWE. That is right. Ric Flair is out of the WWE. The fallout from Bray Wyatt being released by the WWE, it still feels weird to say it. And then, as if there wasn't enough WWE news, Becky Lynch, what's going on with her? When is she coming back to the WWE? We're going to cover all of that on today's top story of the day from Sportskeeda. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out! Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out indeed. Hi, everybody. I'm Kev Kelm. What's going on here? Let's jump right into it here. I am not alone here. Let me go into the three-sided screen here. It jumbles up on us.
There
we are.
There
we are. Recorrected.
Whoa.
I got you.
What's going on?
If you move too fast, it like adjusts.
Too furious, too fast.
I am Kev Kelm in Chicago, Illinois. Jeremy joining me in Nebraska, down in Florida, the state that is shaped like a certain part of the male anatomy.
Hello,
Mr. Jose G. A lot to get into today, guys. We'll talk Ric Flair. We'll talk AEW. We'll talk Becky Lynch. We'll talk a lot of it.
Yeah.
I'm going to hop out at some point because I have to run to Monday Night Raw. Which will be a very interesting Monday Night Raw tonight.
Physically run.
Some CM Punk chants are going to be heard, I would assume.
Oh yeah, there's going to be a mute button. Vince has got that mute button ready for the crowd tonight. You know it.
Absolutely. So let's jump right into it. Ric Flair no longer with the WWE. What's the latest on this, Jeremy?
Yeah, Fightful Select came out they came out with a regular report that Ric Flair is gone from the company, and then Fightful Select adding to it today, stating that Flair himself was asked for and granted his release from the company. Sources stated that Flair grew frustrated with booking decisions on the show, contacted Vince directly to voice his issues, and asked for his release. Of course, we haven't seen Flair in quite some time since basically, I guess, the Lacey Evans storyline, isn't it? Was that about the last time?
That was the last time he was on television. Yeah.
Of course, then Lacey got pregnant for real, so then that story kind of ended. So then we kind of lost Flair from television there. So I didn't even know he was signed with the company. I thought he was like on a per deal basis, to be honest with you. And I was actually surprised when this news broke.
Was that your take? What do you think? Ric Flair no longer with WWE?
It's kind of crazy because we've seen Ric Flair not necessarily so much on TV, but he does so much media for WWE. He does a lot of podcasting, he does a lot of appearances, but you know what? He's going to be fine outside of WWE. He has tons of friends in the hip hop world that he can do some type of collaboration, probably with Migos or whoever's coming up these days in the hip hop world. I think he's going to be fine. But it is a little bit surprising coming off the heels of what the huge blockbuster announcement of Bray Wyatt being released on Saturday, and then this morning with this whole Adam Cole story with his contract being expired already, and people already starting to freak out and speculate. So, I mean, it's almost kind of like a lot to take in one day, especially on a Monday when we're trying to get things started.
We're not even at Monday Night Raw yet.
And we're not even at Monday Night Raw because who knows what's going to happen at Monday Night Raw. But is it surprising? No, I kind of expected something like this. That he kind of makes more sense. Bray Wyatt, that really doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
No, that was crazy too. I mean, that stuff dropping on a Saturday, for God's sake. And, props to our faithful followers. We had a hell of a turnout on a Saturday afternoon as we broke that news. And, but I mean, God, that was a bombshell and a half right there, considering he's such a gigantic merchandise seller, such a popular figure with not only the WWE universe, but kids as well. And, it was a very strange release. I have a feeling there's probably going to be a lot more to it as the days go by.
Yeah, and the cool thing about Ric Flair that Ric Flair transcends WWE. He's just not a WWE figure. He is a pro wrestling figure. Everybody knows him. So don't be surprised if at one point later down the road he makes an appearance at AEW. It's about to happen.
I think Sean Ross Sapp tweeted out earlier today. He goes, we need a Sting versus Ric Flair best out of 7. Get off my lawn feud.
Oh, my God.
No, Flair ain't wrestling again. Flair
is not wrestling again. He'll be doing some type of managerial role. If he is involved in anything, he'll cut some promos. He'll do some T-shirt stuff. He does sell his own merch, I mean, that is worth noting. He does have his own merch deals. He does have his own endorsements and different things like he can do it. He is a pretty iconic figure. But if he wants to sell more merch, the place he can do that is under the AEW banner, which includes Pro Wrestling Tees.
Yeah.
So plenty
And
to be seen about what's going to happen here with Ric Flair.
Yeah, he probably already has something set up with Pro Wrestling Tees anyways. So because he has sold from them out of them before. So I'm sure once he had that signed deal, he probably couldn't do it any longer. But I'm sure that it didn't take too long to flip the switch and pull those tees back into circulation.
Let's get into the other big story of the day. We do have more to talk about with WWE in terms of returns that are coming, but are just not coming when you want them to come.
Yeah, right.
We will talk about that. But let's talk about the other big story of the day. All Elite Wrestling, the big disruptor, the big fire under the butt of WWE at the moment in the eyes of many, many people. That isn't me saying that. There's just still plenty of other people saying it. And at the same time, you have a lot of people furious with WWE and what they're doing and how they're treating their favorite superstars. Now comes the news that the day before SummerSlam in a stadium that'll hold 43,000 people, AEW has sold an arena level stadium in United Center that'll hold 20,000 people. This will be their biggest attended event in the company's very, very short history. And it'll be in a market that they're already running an arena in just a few weeks later. It'll be called AEW Rampage, The First Dance, August 20th, sold out. 10,000 tickets are sold on Friday. And the pre-sale, which is an extremely high pre-sale number. I was told by people I know connected with the United Center, where that event is, home of the Chicago Bulls and the Chicago Blackhawks on the west side of downtown Chicago, that this is one of the fastest selling pre-sale non-sports events they've ever had. So this is a very, very big number for them.
Yeah, and it goes to show just the sheer popularity and momentum that AEW is generating right now. You know, they are now starting to really get in that groove ever since they got off of the being preempted for the NBA playoffs. They're now getting into that groove where they're consistently well over 1 million viewers. And with these supposed people maybe defecting, I think that number is only going to grow. This Wednesday, you got Malachi Black making his in-ring debut. So a lot of people are going to tune in for that. And then, of course, you've got when's CM Punk showing up, when's Bryan Danielson showing up, if that's true, all sorts of, so you got other people whose 90 days have come up as well. So you never know if the Iconics are going to show up at any time now that their 90 day is up. So it's a very interesting time in wrestling, and I think AEW's numbers are showing it not only on television but in arena sales as well.
Man,
absolutely, Jose. Your take on this? This is supposed to be the big coming out party for CM Punk on the 20th here.
It is, man. There's a really nice vibe about all this, and this just reminds me at the very beginning of 2019, or actually even just a little bit before that, the first All Out. When they announced, even before the show was like even going on air and anything like that, when they announced the ticket sales and then that the pre-sale had the 10,000 sold out, this is just that same type of vibe. You know how great this show is going to be. So there's a lot of anticipation, of course, of the whole CM Punk stuff that's going on. But again, I'm going to say it again. None of this has been confirmed, ladies and gentlemen. The company has not confirmed it yet, but there is something in the air. A lot of teases last week on Wednesday. We're probably going to get some more teases. There's been a lot of reports about Cult of Personality being able to be used on AEW. So there's a lot of stuff going on right now, and I think that has the fan really riled up and ready to go see something spectacular happen on August 20th at the United Center.
Breaking in here, a big question from Steven Chambers. I will hop out in a few minutes, guys. I do have to go catch a train to actually make it on time for Monday Night Raw to start. Steven Chambers goes, within a year, do you guys see AEW running a stadium? I wouldn't say they do that within a year. I think they want to hold off on that and make that a special moment and do it when they know there's absolute certainty of safety. With the Delta variant, I was just at Lollapalooza last night. I'm getting tested. I'm going to Raw tonight. I know I'm going to be tested within a few days. With the Delta variant, I think there's going to be a lot of problems with running arena events by the end of this year if those case counts do not come down. In the United Kingdom, they did, but this will be a COVID-related issue. If there's still a problem with COVID, it'll be hard for WWE to run stadiums. Yeah, I think they'll be able to run arenas in a limited capacity, but the world will continue to be affected by this. And I do think AEW will be affected by this. That isn't a shot at them as a brand or what they've done. Yeah, it's just a matter of, I don't know who can run a stadium. If SummerSlam is affected by this whole Delta variant issue in the next few weeks, that's a distinct possibility.
Yeah, I think, everybody keeps saying there's not going to be another lockdown again, but you never know. But you can't really plan for like AEW can't really plan for something like this, I think, until that stuff truly clears up.
More people talking about this big AEW show, CM Punk heading in that direction. A lot of other people think anyone who leaves WWE is going there. Bray Wyatt's got to be going to AEW, right? I'm gonna be the guy who throws water on this fire that everyone's trying to start left and right. They don't have the TV time for all that talent. They simply do not have the proper TV time. 3 hours on 2 different nights, not enough time.
And here's a perfect example of that. Here's a perfect example of that. Miro is a very good example of that. Perfect. He's your TNT champion, and he hasn't been featured on TV for the last 3 weeks. He's going to defend his title tonight, or not tonight, on Wednesday this week. Who's to say that they don't push that match over to next week? I'm just saying. They're not giving him the love of the day. So you're absolutely right about that, Kevin.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, like, down the road, do they expand Rampage to 2 hours and maybe move it to, dare I say, Monday night and start a new Monday Night War? Or do they do Tuesday nights?
It's just a bad idea. And here's the thing: I get it. People saying I love AEW, and there's just a lot of AEW love in here, and WWE is getting whacked. It's fine, but the fact of the matter is, WWE is the juggernaut. You got to beat them. You can't just say you're beating them. You have to do it. And at this point, there's just a lot of talk. Is AEW certainly a rival in competition? 100%. Did you see the quarterly call with Vince McMahon saying maybe we'll give them more talent and all these different things? Sure, but he didn't see them as competition, and that riles up the AEW crowd. How can he not call us competition? The problem I have with it is, if everything you're doing is just in the shadow of someone else, it's just in the shadow of someone else. There's such a special brand. I really think that's a problem with the fan culture within AEW that they just can't shake. They just can't shake it. It's going to be like Rebound Girlfriend. They're not going to want to be that brand. They're not going to want to be that brand.
Yeah. At the same time, though, it is guys that were not treated the best creatively, and they're going to have that creative freedom to tell intriguing stories. So I think you get those guys like Malachi Black, Bray Wyatt. Those are going to be those guys that can tell stories that are going to captivate audiences. Now, do they go get everybody that's been released? No, they can't do that. But there are certain stars they should go after, because they're going to be allowed to tell the story through their own eyes, and that's going to captivate a lot of fans, especially Bray Wyatt. I think Bray Wyatt should sign with AEW, because he's going to get to tell his own story through his character, and that's going to bring in a lot of people. That's going to be a signing that makes sense because of the amount of people he can bring over and be interested in that product. They do have a lot of people. They do have to figure that out, but there are certain people that you should make way for, though.
All right, guys, I'm going to hop out of here. I do want to mention and shout out to the great Sportskeeda Wrestling team. Shout out to Roni. Shout out to Aaron Nava. Shout out to Raju. Shout out to Mike, our social media team. Shout out to them. 100,000 followers. Just peaked that number on Instagram. Thank you guys so much for us. You guys are putting us near 20,000 subscribers on YouTube. A wonderful audience for us on Facebook, and of course a growing podcast feed as well. Wherever you enjoy wrestling online, find Sportskeeda, download our app. We're on multiple different ways you can read and consume our content. So thankful. I'm going to Monday Night Raw. I'm putting my mask on. I hope when you leave the house, you do the same thing as well, and be safe and considerate. Guys, have a great show. Vince Russo, live after Monday Night Raw. I think he's going to have a lot of things to say about it tonight.
You should see if he can get on the show tonight. You should see if he can get on Legion of Raw.
I'm going to have to see if I do an arena report.
Yeah, do a little pop.
Doesn't die.
Yeah, do a little pop in there. Yeah. Well, get your voice ready for them CM Punk chants.
Everyone's saying
get on that train.
Jason, get on that train. And say I'm going to be doing that. All right, I'm going to hand the board over to you guys. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good one. Stay safe.
Enjoy it, Kev.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. So here we are.
Boom.
Just me and Jose. Let's talk about how about the man Becky Lynch. We've got some updates from Mike Johnson at PW Insider. We've got an update here. Maybe not the update that you want to see, but this is this is just the way things are. It has been announced by Mike Johnson that not to expect Becky Lynch until possibly October is where they're looking at right now. Of course, card subject to change, as is the motto of pro wrestling, but is not looking like she's going to be factored into the SummerSlam plans. Maybe doesn't really need to, because Bianca Belair and Sasha can sell that themselves if she does go to SmackDown, like it is rumored. Of course, she was on Raw last, but it is if she is truly going to SmackDown, you can hold her off. What do you think about October, Jose? That's kind of an oddly an interesting date there.
It is. It is, and yet it isn't, because if the chatter is right, October is WWE draft season. So
yeah,
this actually does kind of fit in. I am a little bit disappointed that we're not going to see Becky a little bit earlier in the year. However, it's fine, because you know what? It's going to give her more time to get better, to get ready, to get leaner, to get meaner, to take back that man moniker back when she comes back. And I think October is going to be a good month in general for everyone, because if we are going to get that draft, like Andrew Zarian had mentioned, then I think it's really going to mix things up. And usually in the fall is usually when we do see that. So let's see. I'm okay. I'm optimistic.
It makes sense. WWE draft on Fox, and you bring in the man for the first time in God, are we pushing like a year and a half now on that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. With the segment with Asuka was the night after Mania, wasn't it?
Yep, just a little over a year.
So we'll be pushing a year and a half by that point in October. So, I would assume that she probably comes back at the draft on SmackDown to a big, gigantic pop, and probably then I would say set us up. I would assume Bianca is going to retain against Sasha at SummerSlam, and then set up a big match with a first time ever Bianca Belair, Becky Lynch. That could sell Survivor Series right there. So it is very, very interesting to see that she will not, but because they started doing the chants and everything.
Mm-hmm.
We want Becky, and then Charlotte gave him the bird, but
and the chop,
the old bird that got censored on Peacock, but
God, it's like they're more strict than Disney, dude. It's like, seriously, like this is just wrestling.
Did you hear about Snoop Dogg and Kev on Kevin Hart on the Olympics thing?
Nah.
Snoop dropped an F-bomb on that, so.
Well, I mean, it's an F-bomb. An F-bomb is understandable when you're a bird or the chop. Come on,
my God,
man. We're getting too much.
Yes, Ozzy. Kevin did have to catch the train. He's going to Monday Night Raw to chant CM Punk. That's what he's going to do. I saw a comment here earlier that said Seth Rollins is going to be in AEW by the time she comes. No, I think Seth is. I think Seth is locked in. But
even though we want to think that Seth is locked in, nobody really is locked in.
That is true. And a lot of people. A lot of veterans in that locker room, especially after the Bray Wyatt release, are now really reevaluating things. So it makes you wonder, who jumped ship. I've heard the New Day's contracts are coming up a lot sooner than expected. If you have Adam Cole leave, you already had Tyler Breeze get fired. If Adam Cole leaves, if Cesaro's extension isn't as long as it is, all those guys are tight with, the up, down, down stuff. The New Day is tight with the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks changed their Twitter bio last night to say that they were it'd be nice to face them. I can't remember the exact wording, but I think they know a little more than we do about the New Day situation too, which is very, very interesting. So that whole Da Party clique with Xavier Woods and Cesaro and Adam Cole and Tyler Breeze. Remember Sean Ross Sapp said, this may have ramifications in 6 months when the Tyler Breeze, those cuts happened. And we suspected on the podcast that it was Adam Cole possibly. Sure enough, look what happened. Adam Cole's name's brought up now, not that far after those releases. So, wow. It's
definitely it's a great time to be a wrestling fan and to be reporting on this type of stuff, just because it's so intriguing. It's like, it makes you think, like, what the hell are you doing? But because there has to be a good enough reason why they're doing this. Budgetary cuts is not enough. There has to be a legit reason why they're doing this.
there had to have been some other underlying thing. Budget cuts is a silly scapegoat because of the money he brought in merchandise wise. And he was one of the top merch sellers. Adam Cole is also a big merch seller, by the way. So, man, I don't know. We got one last story to talk about here tonight, and it's about that guy there, Bray Wyatt. What we've heard here from Andrew Zarian of the Matman podcast is that he reported here that the television partners are not happy with the release of Bray Wyatt. They have attributed to obviously good ratings when he has been on TV. He's been used sparingly over the past year or two, and so but when he's been on, there's been an uptick in ratings, an uptick on the brand, just the brand awareness as a whole, which makes your TV providers happy. So, it basically the network source that Andrew Zarian talked to said Bray's release is really disappointing and a little scary. The top stars are being let go. So it's not just Bray, but it's also you're adding in the factor of everybody else, that Malachi Black, Daniel Bryan, it's Braun Strowman. It's like these network execs are like, what are you guys doing? We gave you guys billions of dollars, and now you're cutting some of these beloved stars. And this isn't the first report of a network not being happy with something in returns to a release. This is like the second one in a week or two. And so what do you think, Jose, about networks?
We actually reported on that last week for this very exact same reason. And now it's funny enough that we're hearing about it again. This is it's starting to raise my alarm, my spidey senses. Something I'm like, there's only so much you can take where you can keep defending. Oh, we're doing this for this reason and doing that for that reason. But it's getting to a point that's like, okay, what's really going on here? Because from what I understood, Bray Wyatt was getting ready for an in-ring return next month. He was already setting up his story, what he was going to do. I also read a lot of reports that Bray Wyatt wasn't seeing eye to eye creatively either. So they wanted to do something different with his character. He didn't want to take it that way because he's trying to protect that character. And I can understand that because in all honesty, I think that Bray Wyatt is one of the most creative geniuses when it comes to character work in the last 10 to 15 years. So I can understand where that would come from. I have no absolute proof that is exactly what happened, but I can see that being a thing with Bray Wyatt. Now, what does he do from here? I don't know. Does he want to continue wrestling? Does he want to do something outside of wrestling? His brother's doing something with real estate. Maybe he gets into the real estate business with his brother. I don't know. It's, to be honest, man, it's just very hard for me to see Bray Wyatt in any other promotion than WWE.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to rush to get back to work, but I mean, if he was rushing, or if he was, he's obviously in great shape now, and so he was preparing for that return this month. We're in August already. Here we are. He was preparing for that return. So does that mean he's ready mentally, physically? Obviously are going to be the two keys. Mentally, with the loss of Brody Lee earlier this year. Is he ready to return? So now if he's mentally to come back in August, does that mean, does the release just hurt that, where he's going to take a lot of time off? Or is he going to get ready and continue to get ready and then come back into a promotion like AEW just before Full Gear? Because that's where the 90 days is going to end up, right before Full Gear. So he could show up on that pay-per-view and really start some shockwaves.
As much as I like hearing the wrestling fans kind of dream book Bray Wyatt going into AEW or doing things like that, I don't see him going to AEW. And a matter of fact, I don't even see him coming back to wrestling. I see him doing more movie stuff, like horror stuff. He's really into the creative stuff when it comes to horror and movie stuff like that. He spent a lot of time designing that mask with the makeup designer. So he may find something along those lines. I don't know.
Yeah. I won't be surprised if he doesn't return to wrestling.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Same here.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for tuning in here for yet another show. We got so much news. We had to do it twice this week. Twice today with the Adam Cole stuff earlier, and a bunch of news today with Ric Flair and Becky Lynch and Bray Wyatt. So we definitely had to come back on and give you some more news, give you some more takes, let you guys have your voice heard as well. Jose, what do you got going on, man?
Well, tonight I'm just going to be watching some Monday Night Raw that will be from Chicago. Maybe I can spot Kevin in the crowd. I don't know. Maybe he's too far up. I don't know. But we got the top story every afternoon, 5 p.m. here on Sportskeeda. Weekends of Wrestling live this Thursday, 8 p.m. Follow me on all my socials at Jose G Official with the underscores in between. So go ahead and do that.
I myself, I am the host of Lost in the Midcard, a podcast that drops every Thursday afternoon with myself and fellow Sportskeeda writer Matt Black. We will be talking about the week in television and in headlines. And there's a couple of headlines to talk about this week already with Bray Wyatt. So we'll cover Bray Wyatt, we'll cover Adam Cole, we'll cover all of that on Thursday's show. You can go to litmcpodcast.com, or you can follow me on the Twitter at JB Huskers. I got all the links to the stuff there. We're on podcast and on YouTube, so come subscribe there. Thank you for tuning in. Enjoy the evening. Enjoy Monday Night Raw. Enjoy the CM Punk chants. Enjoy the maybe the editing of said CM Punk chants tonight, possibly. But Jose, tell us, what else should they enjoy?
You guys need to enjoy wrestling. Yeah.
Let me talk to you.
Let me talk.
Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.